Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Michelle Elvey, and I'm one of the registered kinesiologists at the South Lakes Cardiovascular Prevention and Rehabilitation Program. Today, we're going to discuss the importance of cardiovascular rehabilitation and how it can benefit you. We have a different format than our traditional facility-based program, but we're going to show you how we're going to make it work so that we can help you reach your goals and live your best life. We're going to review the core components of our program. We're going to talk about some common symptoms with heart disease and stroke, such as chest pain. And we're going to talk about today how you can make healthy changes right now, even before you're formally enrolled in our program. And then we're going to lastly talk about the next steps for your participation in our virtual program. So as you know, this is a live presentation. Your microphones are muted and your video is off, so we can't see you, but we do hope that you participate with us by typing your questions in the Q&A box. You should have a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. So who is this program for? We have people coming from many different medical backgrounds that can benefit from lifestyle modification. So if you've had a heart attack, if you've had any cardiac procedure or surgery, if you've had a stroke or a TIA, if you have chronic heart failure, if you have peripheral artery disease, so if you have blocked arteries in the legs, for example, if you have diabetes, or if you have high risk of developing any of the above, then this program is for you because it can help you to make modifications in lifestyle so that you can lower your cholesterol, lower your blood pressure, so that you can lower your blood sugars, so that you can improve your metabolic function overall. So our goal at Cardiac Rehab is to give you the tools, the knowledge, the skills, and the confidence that you need to enhance the quality of your life. We're doing this virtually now, and so it helps us to help you with key elements like exercise, nutrition, and your emotional health. Let me know if you have any questions. So this is the key components of cardiac rehab on your screen here. It's going to be a home-based exercise prescription. So we're going to be monitoring you with telephone calls and with emails and helping you guide through a safe, successive walking program or cycling program. Some of you are interested in swimming or water exercises. So there's different ways that we can tailor the cardiac program to be an aerobic program to suit your preferences and to suit your needs. We also involve a resistance training component of the program. We're going to be showing you live exercise examples using dumbbells, using exercise band, which you will receive in a package that I'll talk about later on. We'll be sending you out our package so that you have a toolkit for your exercise program. So as I mentioned, we'll be supporting you through phone calls and through emails. This is how we'll be communicating with you. We're going to help you develop goals and action plans because let's face it, many of us know we need to eat right and we need to exercise, but it's really putting that into practice, putting that into our day-to-day life. So we help you with some tips and tools to get that going. We'll review your exercise with you on a regular basis. And you also have the opportunity to consult with our social worker, her name is Sandy, and also our dietitian. And both of these specialists are going to be offering support through phone calls as well as through virtual communication. So if you want to do a sit down with them where they can see you over the screen, over your monitor screen, that's another option that will be available to you as well. Another component of our program is our education classes. So we do have set out for you as a new participant some core classes that we would like you to view either live or on your own time. You can review the recorded presentation after the live event has passed. And it's really on a range of topics. It talks about nutrition, risk management, stress management, and as I mentioned, those are your core classes. And then we also have a weekly schedule of short tidbits of different health and wellness topics that I'm sure that you'll enjoy. So the reality is with heart disease and with diabetes is that these are progressive diseases. So in hospital, they might have been able to treat the main urgent problem. Maybe if you had a blocked artery, they might have been able to put a stent in or to do bypass surgery and help you that way. Now, cardiac rehab is designed to help you slow down any further blockages or slow down any further damage to your body through diabetes and or slow down the progression of a TIA or stroke symptoms as well. And people who do go through a program of education and exercise, studies have shown that participating in cardiovascular rehab can decrease your risk of future events by up to 25%. One study from Toronto Rehab Institute showed a 50% reduction in mortality from a second event by completing a cardiac rehab program. And why is that? It's because, I mean, not only are you treating the urgent issue, you're also developing skills to enhance your lifestyle choices, to enhance your quality of life, so that you can be as strong as you can be, so that you can have as much energy as that you can, with proper nutrition, proper diet, proper sleep, and proper self-care with your mental wellness as well. Now, when can I start to exercise is a common question. When can I start to exercise? So there is a safety feature that we want you to be aware of. There is some safety guidelines as for when you can do exercise. So depending on what event you've had or what condition you have, that will depend on when it's safe to start an exercise program. If you've had a TIA stroke, then you can gradually start to exercise, start walking, for example, when you're feeling better. Open heart surgery, whether it's a valve or a cardiac surgery, bypass surgery, then you can expect to wait 6 to 8 weeks before doing more moderate intensity walking. That's to allow for the chest muscles and for the bone structure to heal. After you've had angioplasty or stent, you generally wait 2 weeks after that. And if you've had a heart attack that preceded the angioplasty, then you'd want to wait 4 to 6 weeks before getting into a more moderate activity exercise program. If you've had a pacemaker put in, you want to wait 2 weeks before you're starting an exercise program. Please let me know what questions you have regarding when it's safe to get started. So angina symptoms is something that many people experience, but they have not identified it as angina. So that's why we want to talk a little bit about what it is and how to manage it. So on the screen here, you can see that the definition of angina is insufficient blood flow to the heart muscle and that's caused by narrowing of the artery. So you can see in that blown up picture of the artery, there's a narrowing there caused by plaque. That yellow plaque is causing a narrowing in the artery, and so this gentleman may be fine when he's just resting, but perhaps when he goes up the stairs, which requires more blood flow to the heart muscle and a greater demand on the heart, now suddenly there's not enough supply to meet that demand. That gentleman feels discomfort. So it can be caused, it can have different feelings depending on where the location is of the blocked artery, and different people can have different symptoms. So typically angina comes along with physical activity, emotional upset. It rarely occurs at rest. I have a question here pertaining to the last slide. I had a valve repair, but it was an open heart. When can I exercise? So South Lake and other hospitals are doing very advanced surgeries where we don't have to always open up the chest wall. And so we have less invasive ways of doing surgery. At this time, we still are having the same guidelines as valve surgery as 6 to 8 weeks. That's a great question. And you know, the 6 versus the 8 is more depending on if you've had extra complications after surgery, if you've had extra swelling, if you've had other symptoms, other complications, versus you know, if everything went smoothly with your recovery. So angina is not always felt as pain. So some people describe different things. And if I was speaking to you live, if I could hear you guys, I would ask you kind of what you felt. I'd get a pulse on what other people felt, because as I mentioned, people feel different things. Sometimes people feel pressure. Some people describe it as pain. Others describe tightness. Others describe burning. And you see the mannequin here. You can see that it can be felt in many different areas. Some have felt symptoms in the jaw or the neck. Some have felt symptoms in the shoulders, the chest, the back, the abdomen, the left arm. It can be radiating down both arms. If you've experienced angina in the past, then likely it would present as the same at the present. And as I mentioned, it's unique for each person. So we can prevent angina by taking our medications as prescribed. You've been given likely more than one. Likely you've been given a whole group of medications, and they each have their own job, and they work together to lower your chance of having angina and to lower your chance of furthering heart disease. So we have to take them as prescribed, and always do a proper warm-up prior to exercise. Warming up is so important. Many people think, oh, I got 30 minutes to get my walk in, let's go, and they just go for it. But it's really important to give your body time to get the blood flow from the center to the working muscles, to gradually increase the blood pressure, heart rate, and breathing rate. This is going to make it easier for your body to prepare for the exercise, and also lessen the chance of fatigue early and lessen the chance of getting angina. So we really stress before getting into a more brisk walk or cycling or whatever your cardio workout is. Start off at a light intensity and a easy pace, just to get things going, just to get the body going. What if you do get angina? What do you do next? So remember that angina is often brought on by an increased workload of the heart. So going up the stairs, or maybe could be brought on by exercise. So the first thing to do if you're in that situation is to just slow your pace. If you're, for example, walking around the block, you have your cell phone on you, of course, and you do notice an uncomfortable feeling, maybe a little bit of a tightness, then you would just slow your pace and see if that goes away. If that doesn't go away in about a minute, the next step is to stop and to rest. Now you've really lessened the workload on the heart. The next step, if you have one, so you're walking around the block, you have your cell phone, you also have your nitro spray in your pocket if you were given one. The next thing you can do is take your nitro spray as you've been directed under the tongue. You might prime it first to make sure that you have some coming out. Spray it under the tongue once, wait 5 minutes. If it's starting to feel better, great. If it's kind of the same and really no change, spray it again. And then at that point, if another 5 minutes go by and it's not easing up, then your next step would be to call 911. We discourage you from driving yourself to the hospital. If you call 911, they can get there quickly. They can hook you up or give you some kind of medication in the ambulance. It's important not to ignore angina. Time is muscle, and so if you delay treatment, then you can have more damage. So sometimes you're not sure, but it's best to go with caution and act quickly. So the same advice with signs of a stroke or signs of a TIA. It's something that you don't want to kind of brush off or kind of just wait till it goes away. But if you notice that the face is drooping, you can't raise both arms, if you notice that the speech of you or your loved one is slurred or jumbled, or having really hard time with memory recall, or getting the words out. You can't, for example, you want to say cup, but you just can't get the word out. You can't know that you can't say cup. Those could be signs of a stroke or TIA. A stroke means that there's an interrupted blood flow to the brain and damage can occur. So the last one there is time. If you notice this, then call 911 right away. Act fast, because the quicker you act, the more of you can save. So I mentioned medications earlier. They each have their own job, and together they work to lower your risk of progressing the heart disease, or progressing the diabetes, or having another stroke. Okay, so you see, we know there's a bunch. We know there's a bunch of medications, and so we do understand that it can be overwhelming. And just know that behind the scenes, that these medications are working to decrease the workload of your heart, to prevent further blood clots from occurring. They're there to protect your heart while it heals. You have one that can help to correct the shape of your heart if you have heart failure. There's one that can increase blood flow to the heart muscle. There's one that helps you to maintain a normal blood pressure, which is so important. You might have a statin that's going to help you to further prevent too much buildup of cholesterol or plaques, and you may have one to help treat and prevent angina. So depending on your situation, you might have 3 or 4 or more of those. But just remember that they're working there for you. Take them as prescribed. What though if the medications are making you feel sick? What should you do? Do you stop? Well, what we recommend is to speak to your doctor, speak to your healthcare provider about the symptoms. That's why it's important to know what medications cause what symptoms, because then you can be really aware and know when to contact your doctor if you're experiencing any. For example, if you're feeling really, really tired, or if you notice that you have a cough, a dry cough, or aches and pains that are new and that are generalized and they're all over, then oh, this could be causing a symptom, a side effect from my medication. The good news is that all of these medications have a twin or a cousin or something related. So if one doesn't work for you, then you can try another one, or your doctor might recommend cutting the dose to one that will still give you benefit but not give you the side effects. So definitely communicate with your doctor if you experience side effects of these medications. Safe activities to do while you're waiting at home, while you're waiting to hear from us. You can safely do some light walking if you're feeling up to it. Even as little as 5 minutes a day is going to help you to get some mobility, to just keep your overall strength up. So you can just do short distances, 5 to 10 minutes. You can do it twice a day. You could do 10 minutes in the morning. You could do 10 minutes in the evening. Of just really easy pace, no heavy breathing, no really high intensity things. Just very nice and relaxed. If you do feel symptoms, slow down and stop. Sometimes you might not realize even what a 10-minute walk does to you. So, good thing just to go out for a little bit, play it on the safe side, do short, come back, see how you feel. Maybe the next day or the next week you can go a little bit further and come back. We don't recommend strength training right now before you've really gotten a chance to get your endurance up with your cardio. So we'll do strength. We advise strength training a little later on in your program. If you've had surgery, we don't recommend that you lift more than 10 pounds until you're cleared by your doctor. Should I change my diet? Have you started to change your diet? Have you started maybe reducing your salt? Have you thought about putting more vegetables into your dinner time, into your meal time? Have you thought about maybe having breakfast every morning? So there's many things that you can do to increase your healthy diet. Maybe increasing your fiber intake. Most Canadians don't get enough fiber. So are there ways that you can improve the fiber in your diet? Are there ways that you can improve your healthy fats, like eating raw nuts and seeds? What you can start to do if you go to the grocery store, if you're the one that goes to the grocery store, is to start reading labels. Start choosing things that have less fat, less trans fat, and less sodium. Here's your team of allied health professionals. So you'll have regular telephone or email follow-ups or both with exercise therapists. These are registered kinesiologists. We'll be sending out a package shortly. It'll be starting next week. We'll be sending out a package which will include some information that we'd like to send to you, some strength training stuff, stopwatch. We also have the business card of your exercise therapist. So you have these six registered kinesiologists that are in the purple shirts there on your screen. You also have on the top left is Sandy, that's our social worker, and she does telephone visits as well as like FaceTime, I don't know what you call it, virtual visits that, with your computer screen you can see her with a live meeting. And Beata's our dietitian, and she does the same telephone follow-ups, but she also likes to do face-to-face using the computer. If you have that technology available to you, then she's welcoming that kind of visit as well. The social worker and the dietitian also do online presentations that are on our cardiac rehab presentation schedule. So we'll keep you updated with that as well. Our program is up to 6 months. It includes online education. You have a telephone intake assessment. So next week, you'll be getting a phone call from us, and we are going to get some information from you. How have you been doing since you left the hospital? Maybe height and weight, medications that you're taking, general information and medical information. We're going to give you some forms. I'll show you the forms that we're going to send out electronically tomorrow as well. And you can be ready for that. You'll be booked for another online class and another telephone assessment by your exercise therapist. And that's just going to deal with your more exercise history. So the first one is a telephone intake assessment. Then the next step is an exercise preparation online class, which will be presented by one of the exercise therapists, like myself. And following that class, then you're going to have another phone call where we're going to do an exercise assessment on your exercise history and make some recommendations. We might ask you to complete an exercise test at the end of your program to assess your improvement in cardiovascular fitness. We will also review some healthy targets with you. So this could be blood pressure, blood sugar, your weight, your waist measurement. If you have a tape measure at home and can measure your waist, your body mass index. Those are different examples of healthy target measurements. So you have weekly exercise and education classes. You have exercise therapist support, and you have social work and dietitian support. These are the titles of the core education classes that I mentioned. In the beginning of the talk, you want to attend these 4 classes. These are managing your risk factors, healthy eating, understanding your cardiovascular medication, and then exploring the emotional and impact of chronic disease. Here is a list of the workshops that we offer. There's a weight management and stress management that will be offered online in September. If you're interested, please ask your exercise therapist to add your name to the wait list. There'll be a heart healthy cooking and grocery shopping tour info will be available online during our Nutrition Bites series. We do a Nutrition Bites series on Thursdays. Our mindfulness-based stress reduction has been offered in our facility-based program. It's currently not available online right now. If you're interested in learning about mindfulness groups, please contact our social worker, Sandy. These are other community workshops that might be of interest for you. They are not offered by our program, but they're offered by a community program. So they offer a range: living well with chronic disease, living a healthy life with chronic pain, powerful tools for caregivers. So if you're interested in one of these, then you can reach out to their website, www.healthylivingnow.ca, or if you don't have time to write that down or take a screenshot of this slide, then reach out to us for more info. So at the moment, we're not offering stress testing. It does provide important information, But we're going to figure out a way, we're going to show you how you can do an assessment, an exercise assessment at home, and following presentations. There is a program administration fee of $95, and this is payable over the phone using your credit card, and this will be payable during your initial assessment phone call next week. So to review the paperwork, some tips. We'll be asking you about your medical history, so what conditions you have, what risk factors you have. For example, do you have a sleep disorder? Are you a smoker? Do you have excess stress? Those things are risk factors for chronic disease. We're going to ask you the name of your specialist if you have one, family doctor, your medications, what medications you're taking. That includes any supplements or vitamins or creams, eye drops, puffers. If you don't remember when you started taking it, that's okay. Just do your best to know what you're taking, what the dosage is, and how often you take them. Also, what are your medication allergies? And lastly, we'll be asking you to assess your mental well-being. How are you doing? This is a questionnaire that asks you over the past 2 weeks if you've been feeling bothered by any of the following questions. So for example, have you been feeling little interest in doing things? Have you been feeling down, depressed? And then you're supposed to rate how often that you feel that. So at this point, you should have been given a date and time for your initial phone call. And so we ask that you please have a look at the forms that we'll be sending out after this presentation, and to help you keep in mind what information you'd like to get from you. If you have your credit card ready to make the appointment time, that would be more convenient. And during this talk, during this phone call, we're also going to book you for your next 2 appointments, which will be an online class and another phone call. So thank you very much for listening. Do you have any more questions? I'm just going to stay on for a little bit if you think of any questions you want to type in. We send out we send out an email every week of what our education program is for the week. So, if you've enrolled, if you've taken the next steps that I've mentioned, then following that, you're going to get an email every week that's going to say what are the live classes that are showing, and it'll give you a link to that, which can be viewed during the live session, or it can be reviewed as a recorded version later on whenever you have time. Most of these sessions are going to be the same format as you've seen today, where you have a live speaker, you have a slideshow presentation, and you can type in questions anonymously. Well, thank you so much again for your time. You'll be hearing from us very shortly. We're going to send out an email about some of the forms that we're going to give to you. And if you have any other questions, please email us. Oh, TIA, I got a question. TIA stands for transient ischemic attack, and that is where you have a temporary lack of blood flow to a blood vessel in the brain. And it's called transient because it's temporary. And so most people, people likely, they don't have permanent damage from that episode. If you do think of any more questions that I didn't get to today, You can ask your therapist on your initial phone call, or you can feel free to email us at cardiacrehab@southlakeregional.org. So how long, I have one more question, how long are the exercise sessions? So if you're talking about a phone call, you have, I mean, for your initial phone call, you want to set aside up to an hour, 45 minutes to an hour for the first 2 phone calls. So the first one is just a general medical intake telephone call, and the other one is an exercise one. As far as exercise sessions, it's going to be like when you're at home, because basically you're going to be at home doing your exercise on your own or with your loved ones. So that's going to depend on your fitness level, any other arthritic issues if you have. It's going to depend on kind of, those are more individual. It can be an exercise session at home, can be as short as 5 minutes, can be as long as an hour. We generally like to start people, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on kind of where they are. And then in general, if you can do, by the end of 6 months, if you can do 30 to 60 minutes of cardio by the end of 6 months, then that is the healthy standard for healthy living. All right, everyone, you've had some great questions. Again, if there's any more, email us at cardiacrehab@southlakeregional.org. Thank you very much, and you'll hear from us soon.